Hey everyone, Tafony here. Today's rambling about is on one of my favorite modules ever, noise engineering, Desmodus Versio. A 10 HP reverb-ish DSP beast for Eurorack. Here's the disclaimer. I picked this one up used from a Canadian seller. I have no affiliation with noise engineering whatsoever. This video isn't sponsored or anything. This is just my own thoughts and ramblings. And more importantly than all that, it sounds like this. So here's the setup today before I move it. Syntact is going to be the voice that we're processing through this Eurorack effects case. It's over there. It's going through the Bafako stereo strip in mono, ironically, to bring it up to Eurorack level. Going through Data Bender, I probably won't use any of that here. And then Overseer, we'll see. Then Desmodus Versio into the Messer compressor, which both mic and the synth are running through, and then out to my interface. So let's zoom in here. Are you ready to hear me swoon again? Because I love reverb, I love noise engineering, and I love Desmodus Versio. It's a beast in every sense of the word. It's so much color. It's not just a room or a plate or a hall reverb. It can be all of those things for sure, but it's its own shimmery, but like, the word I'm looking for is like foreboding. Like, there's just something that sounds really dark about it, and not like tone dark. It just like instantly sounds like a horror movie. You know what I mean? It's just like really, and it can do other stuff too. Don't get me wrong. I just like, when I think Desmodus, I just think like it makes you think you're in a club in like a dark club in Berlin, or if you're in Vancouver, it feels like you're at a techno show at Black Lab, and they just let you out the back doors, and it's 2 a.m. And anyway, so Versio is Latin for versatile, so something to be said for like, it does aim to sort of do everything, and they refer to it as a tail generator, which, interesting, fair enough. It's sort of like, in lots of people said online, which I didn't even realize until reading into writing this video, is that it's like, it has delays in there, which is really interesting to me. I always saw it as a reverb, but I'm not really a big delay guy. I promised you this would be rambling about. I just find like I don't want echoes, right? And everyone's gonna think like, what the hell are you talking about? There's so much more to delay than echo, and I understand that, but like, the sounds I want are shimmer delays and reverb. And I've never heard a reverb I didn't like. Like, I never, like, not everything needs reverb, obviously, but like, I've never heard a reverb where I was like, that's a bad reverb. That reverb sounds bad. But then delays, it's always like, this doesn't add anything. It's like, yeah, I don't need, this doesn't need to echo. You know what I mean? If you've heard a bad reverb, let me know in the comments, because I had this debate with my buddy recently, and it was like, well, not debate, but like, I was talking to him about it, and he's like, yeah, I don't know any bad reverbs. And so we're trying to identify a bad reverb. Name us a bad reverb. Okay. Let's go over the panel. So, first and foremost, let's bring in some of my synth. Sorry, I've probably already used this. in a jam. Okay, let's go over the panel. Bring in my Syntat. First knob is the blend knob. Let's bring in Desmodus. Here's a pretty straightforward reverb. So when it's turned fully left, you get fully dry. Turn fully right, you can only hear the reverb. There's a nice reverb. I think for the sake of this demo, so you can hear it, I'm going to do a little bit more reverb, or a little more mix than is sensical, just so we can help hear it. And you might think, wow, it's too much reverb, but we want to hear it, right? Next knob is tone. So to the left is a low pass. It's sort of DJ style, right? So I'm going to bring the blend up even more so we can hear it. So here's the reverb. There's that low pass. Thank you, Clementine. And then let's get into high pass. I don't know why it just like high passes, you know, if you call it more hall reverby, I think. Scientific naming conventions. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm thinking like a hall. That sounds really good. Bring it back down to noon. And then the regen knob is sort of the kicker here, so we'll turn it all the way down for a second. Turn our blend down to 52, so right now all you're hearing is the dry, basically. So regen amount is the amount of feedback in the reverb tank. So regen controls a wide range of tones and behaviors. So all the way left, I'm reading directly from the manual, sorry. All the way left, feedback is minimized, and like right now we can't even really hear anything at all. But as you turn it up, get some short reverbs. Keep going. You get into like infinite tail feedbacky stuff. And then past 3 o'clock, there's a ducking. And we'll get back to the ducking. When you send it just kicks, when the envelope is really succinct, I guess, like that ducking will really work. But right now, if I'm sending everything through, it doesn't. Not ducking so much. Okay, let's bring it down to something reasonable. Sounds really nice on drums, man. So we did regen, we did tone. Now let's do speed. Speed is the speed of the internal LFO, so the LFO can modulate the delay lines, and the modulation amount is controlled by the index parameter. So, a good way to hear speed is with the low size settings, and then turn density all the way up, and index all the way up, so we hear that LFO going. Like some FM, right? That's how you get your shimmers, right? That internal LFO, the scientific terms. So that's the LFO speed. And then the index is the amount of LFO sent to the delay lines that make up the reverb. So this is bipolar control. Center, LFO is disabled. To the left, the LFO modulates the delay lines randomly. And to the right, it's a sine wave, so, or in this case, so let's slow it down. So you think you want slow speeds, right? For like, right? Okay. Didn't say I'd explain it well. I just said I'd ramble about it. And the size is the delay time of the reverb. So as you turn it up, you'll hear the reverb. The room is getting bigger, you could say. Right? In the feedback territory, I think. Turn that down lower. Yeah. And then the density is the spacing of the delay line, so to the left, you get more like succinct delay stuff. So let's turn this up. Right, there's proper delays in here. Right? But then as you turn it up, it gets more and more reverby, right? Until those things are totally just a wash, right? So I like keep the density cranked, right? I like my reverbs. Keep my speeds low. Keep my index on the LFO side, not the randomness side. And if I can complain about something, which I always do, the index, like, to me, the right side, okay, there's an LFO. The left side, I don't know, it just kind of looks like the same LFO. It's not very random, right? I mean, it just, yeah. You need the manual to know that, right? So, but I keep it in LFO mode anyway, so that's what that does. And then in the switches, the reverb style. So right now I have it in limit. It's a clean reverb using limiting with the reverb tank and to contain feedback so it doesn't get as crazy. And you did hear it got freaking crazy anyway. But keep things, lower, slower. These are sort of like your macro knobs in a way, right? Like changes the color of the whole thing. So let's switch it to distortion. So instead of limiting the reverb tank, slight saturation is applied for more distorted sound. So a good way to hear distortion is with high regen values and starting with all other parameters at 12 o'clock. So let's try cranking that. Or what I said before about Dark Alley. Let's just hear it. Sounds great, don't you think, Clem? Noise artist, eat your heart out, because yeah, it sounds awesome. So another great mode is the shimmer. So they describe it as demonic pitch shifting algorithm. That's 1 octave pitch shift that feeds back into the input. A good way to hear shimmer is with high regen values and all the other parameters set at 12 o'clock. Let's do it. To shimmer. Everybody else can go to noon. What horror movie is this? These are the things that make Desmodus special, right? Like, what reverb does that? And then, because it's your rack, there is well, benefit of being Eurorack here is there's control over how the delay lines respond to how the panel and CV modulations happen. So if I change the speed really fast and crank it up, it is crossfading, right, to make that transition a little more smoother, right? But if we switch it into the skipping the middle mode, which is interpolate, if we skip over to jump and we can just see it, it'll jump, right? So I change my speed, right? There's instant modulation of the speed. So it won't try and interpolate, smooth out those motions. You can just, and there's awesome modulation effects that can be done by being in this mode. And then the last mode is interpolate in the middle, which slowly changes the delay line length, has audible pitch shift effects due to the delay line switching. So this one, think more like portamento, right? It's like changing the delay lines slowly instead of trying to like hide them in the first mode or jump them quickly in the last mode. Then there's the FSU button, which I'm going to assume stands for fuck shit up unless I hear otherwise. This control maxes out the regen control and mutes the input to the reverb, so it's kind of like a freeze. There is CV control over it, which is cool as well, so it can become part of the patch, but let's go and do this. If we bring our regen down, so let's start with a clean delay, shimmer-esque thing. So bring our blend up here, speed all the way down, tone a little past noon. And then we bring in the FSU. Yeah, I mean, what can you say about Desmodus Versio? It's a Eurorack classic, and it sounds amazing. I love it. I'm Tafony. Thanks for watching. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.